In golf, the course changes, the wind shifts, the next shot is never the same. Tiger Woods built his career on the ability to reset and adapt. In business, the challenges change too. That's why Insperity helps you adjust, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Because greatness comes from how you respond. Insperity, how you HR matters. Learn more at insperity.com/tiger.
Welcome to today's episode of People and Strategy. We are recording live from the Executive Network Visionary Summit. I'm your host, Mo Fatalbab, President of International Facilitators Organization. People and Strategy is a podcast from the SHRM Executive Network, the premier network of executives in the field of human resources. Each week, we bring you in-depth conversations with the country's top HR executives and thought leaders. For today's conversation, I'm excited to be joined by Felicia Robinson, CHRO, Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Welcome, Felicia.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Great to have you with us. Felicia, let's start with your career journey and what brought you to the field of HR.
I initially became interested in total rewards, that is also known as compensation, benefits, recognition, and well-being. And I started in that area as a pension actuary at PricewaterhouseCoopers many, many moons ago. And from that, I was able to be exposed to all aspects of HR, being a consultant at a top 5 consulting firm. And so I got to see all aspects through talent management, organizational design. And the bug pricked me as to how important HR is to driving organizational success. And from there, I was smitten. I love the diversity of HR and all the various levers you could pull to not only impact organizational success, but it brought me joy to unleash the potential in people. So I love being in human resources, and I think it is the secret sauce and the magic sauce to organizational success.
Well, you are preaching to the choir. Here at SHRM, we agree with you 1,000%. Today, we're talking about workforce planning. What are your company's goals for this year when it comes to workforce planning?
Well, I would say there are 3 of them. We recently refined what we call our employee value proposition. We actually realized we have a very strong one, but it was not documented. So we worked with several employees across many levels in the organization, and we had a specific focused team on it. And so now we're doing the work of operationalizing that and bringing it to bear both in our branding, our career site, as we also talk to people about why they work at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. So that's a big piece of the workforce planning. The second is career development. Our employees, through our engagement survey, said they really don't understand what their career options are. So we're going to be leaning into career development by setting up very targeted mentorship programs, as well as teaching managers how to have that career growth conversation, as well as the employee, and making it a two-way conversation. We're also going to be leaning into succession planning. We have been primarily doing executive succession planning, and now we're taking that deeper in the organization as we present to people what their different options are and making sure we build out their capabilities, not only for the present, but also for the future. And there's a lot of cross-functional transferable skills. And so we're testing out what we're calling development assignments that could be outside of your particular function, but it builds on a set of core skills. And then lastly, being really relentless about prioritizing and resourcing the work. We just finished the work of putting our 3-year plan together, and there are lots of words on the pages, but now we want to add to that, what are the people resources and how much time will it take to really deliver an optimal solution?
And what is your employee value proposition? And more importantly, how are you operationalizing it?
Yep. It really was something that was already there, but we didn't have the words. So it's really about marrying passion and people and purpose. And my marketing person would probably say I messed that up. But at the end of the day, it really is about being a place where people can marry their profession and their purpose with delivering on our mission, which is to serve nearly 4 million young people every year. And under that, we realize we have so many tools in our tool set that makes Boys and Girls Clubs of America a great place to work. We actually have a real propensity for people to have multiple careers within the same organization. They can do different things. We also do a lot in the space of leadership development. There is no shortage of leadership development programs. And then we also have very competitive benefits. We just got to do a better job of making sure our employees understand them and understand that they are truly competitive and in some cases above market. And we want to make sure people understand that part of the total rewards as far as what they get for working here. How we're going to operationalize that is going to be in partnership with our marketing organization. We recently launched a new marketing branding campaign around America Needs Club Kids and Club Kids Needs You. So we're going to marry up that external branding with the internal branding. We have our mission statement says we want to unleash the potential in every kid. And we want to do that for our employees as well. And so we're going to partner with our marketing team to really get very targeted branding on our career site, to get very targeted branding around the office building, to make sure every time we're up in front of our employees, we're pulling elements of that employee value proposition and building our meetings around that. So there are other things in HR too that we're going to be doing specifically on a program basis to make that EVP come to life.
That sounds lovely. And what KPIs or metrics are you currently measuring and tracking?
Well, at a high level, we do a lot of operational metrics in the core business. And then within HR, we also do some of the typical ones like time to fill. We also recently started tracking internal mobility, not just how many folks are actually getting promoted, but how many of our employees are actually getting new opportunities to develop new skills. So it may be a lateral move, but because they're moving to something different, they're actually building out their resume by getting additional skills that would make them employable, both at Boys and Girls Clubs of America, but also if they ever decided they wanted to move on, they have these skills that they can take with them. So we monitor that internal mobility. We also started getting very intentional about the effectiveness of all those development programs. So we do a lot of them, and we want to make sure employees at all levels can feel like they're growing. So we have this tagline of fostering a culture of learning. So we do different things through our training system. We also do live in-person facilitated. But what we're trying to do is measure the so what. If they're doing these, are they applying the skills that they are learning? We also recently with one of our programs, we started these cross-functional peer learning groups where the peers in these programs, they get to talk together without HR in the room about how they're applying and sometimes how it's not working. So getting those peers, those cohorts to talk to each other then fuels back to us what we might need to do to improve the program. So we're looking at a number of metrics, but I also want to take our 3-year operating plan, and when we talk about what are the success measures for those, not only just the success of growing how many youth we're going to serve, growing how much revenue we need to serve those youth, but also what is the impact to the people who are doing the work? What is their experience? Are we seeing an improvement in their commitment to the mission? So coming up with this personal employee impact statement is what we're looking to do also next year so that you know specifically what your impact has been to the mission.
So that's a lot of wonderful stuff. Can you give us an example of one of those initiatives where you've had a measurable impact?
I will say the leadership development program that is called Leadership Forward. We put it in place, I believe, maybe 4 years ago. And that program creates the internal talent pipeline for our senior leader roles. So one of the ways we started tracking was with that internal mobility. And what we see, those individuals who have successfully completed that program, it's a 9-month long program. They get an executive coach. It's very robust. And so we started tracking what's happening to these graduates. And 20% of them have either been promoted within. We also see retention is higher for that group who has completed it. And when there are these special work assignments that we often get to do, those people are tagged to participate in those strategic projects. So we're connecting what they're getting out of that leadership development program called Leadership Forward to what happens to them afterwards. So we're super proud of the fact that 20% of those graduates are actually moving into higher roles or different roles.
So this internal mobility program, are you systemically moving people from role to role every couple of years, or do they have to sign up for this program and it's a 9-month program? How does it work?
Well, for the 9-month program, that is a very specific, there are only 15 people in that cohort, and you have to apply. You have to submit a form of, I'm interested in this program. You have to answer a number of questions. The thing I love about this program is HR doesn't decide who gets selected. Our board of trustees. We actually sanitize the application so there's no name, no identifying information, and we ask the board of trustees to volunteer. We usually want about 5 so that we can divide and conquer because they're busy people. And this year we had close to 8 or 9 board of trustees to raise their hands that they wanted to participate in that. And so we package all the interest forms. We give each board of trustee 3 to 5 to review, and they get to rate it on a rubric. They send that back, and they decide. Whoever got the highest scores across those board of trustees, that's who gets selected for the program. So it's very competitive, and it allows the program to have objectivity to it, and they don't have to say, well, HR is picking their favorites. We're not. Our board of trustees are actually selecting it based on a sanitized package that they get.
And how many applicants do you get typically for that?
We typically get between 30 and 45.
Yeah. Amazing. And you also talked about peer learning groups. How are those put together and how are they organized? I know that they're self-run from what you said, but how are they organized to get started?
Well, typically out of that Leadership Forward group, remember I talked about these special assignments, we typically tap that group first to ask them to lead one. From there, people are randomly put in them. So we try to have at least there's someone in the room who is going to make sure the group continues the dialogue, that they come together. So we typically will pick a graduate from one of the Leadership Forwards to be the leader, and then we just randomly assign them from the different programs that our employees participate in. And then it's up to them to meet and come together. And I will tell you, that's been some of the most positive feedback because they're getting together in a safe space. They're talking and sharing with each other. Like I said, it's not HR facilitated and it's cross-functional. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that program.
Wonderful. And how do you just did 3-year plan?
Yep.
How do you align your KPIs to that plan?
Well, mostly they come from our CEO first, but I will say we take each of the priorities and we ask ourselves, what does success look like? What is it that we want the desired outcome to be? And how will we know if we get there? So it can be a number of qualitative and quantitative KPIs. I can tell you from my space in the human resources, one of them is around this activation and operationalizing that employee value proposition. So it's not just about all the activity that we do. Annually, we do an employee experience survey. So one of my success measures for operationalizing that is, am I going to see, we ask a question around are you Are you connected personally to the mission? Do you feel the work that you do in your job is absolutely driving the mission? So that may be one of the questions that I put as a success measure, because if my EVP is working, the current employees are going to feel more connected to the mission-based work.
And what number are you looking to hit? How many of them do you want to say, yes, I'm connected?
I believe...
Other than 100%, because I know you're an overachiever, of course.
Well, if you know Jim Clark, we're 100% on everything. I believe the last time we took the survey, we probably were in the low 80s. So I'm looking for that to jump to the 90s.
That is amazing. So, Felicia, what do you think the current state of external talent landscape is looking like right now? And what are the potential business disruptors that you may be facing?
The external talent landscape is something like I've never seen. I've been in human resources for multiple decades, I will say, and it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. It's very unpredictable. It's very volatile. And that's why for us, we're actually have a part of our EVP called the Internals First Strategy. We have a very low turnover rate. We're about 9% turnover rate, which is really, again, outpacing what other organizations may be experiencing. So we do want talent from the outside, but it's a little bit of so many things and factors and disruptors that are outside of our control. And so we are leaning into what do we do for our internal people? And we have an internals first strategy where we are teaching people how to really think about their career plan options. What do they want to do in the next 1, 3, or 5 years? With the external talent landscape, we hope that we're going to find people who are interested in doing mission-based work. We want to find people who truly care about what's happening to the youth in our country and, frankly, in the world. And so we have specific behavioral questions that we ask that are aligned to our organizational values to make sure the people we are hiring who come from the external talent world, that they actually are people who are going to adopt the mission with both their head, their hands, and their hearts. When you're internal, we already know we have your head and your heart. We build your capabilities so that we can get more out of your hands. And so there's a value proposition in focusing internally, but we also do welcome external talent. I came from the outside, so I have to say, we do want to expand the family, but we also want to make sure the people we're bringing into it, we will be able to win their head, hands, and hearts. And I'm a club kid. So when the recruiter reached out to me to become the head of HR for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, me and my husband are both club kids. That was an easy yes.
Yeah. And when you talk about those questions, what's an example or what's maybe one of your favorite questions that tests the applicants as to whether or not they're aligned with your values?
One of my favorite questions is, tell me about a time that you put the best plan in place and it didn't go as you expected. What was the situation? What did you do? What actions actually worked or didn't work? And what was the results? So that question, our values have the acronym of I care. The I stands for integrity. The C stands for collaboration. The A is for accountability. The R is for respect. And the E is for excellence. So when I ask that question, if an interviewee tells me, I can't think of a time that something did not go right, or if they answer the question more from a third person as if it was someone else, not really me, to me that signals there's possibly an integrity opportunity, right? Because you have to own, because we're not perfect.
You have to take ownership.
You have to take ownership.
Yeah.
Collaboration too, because a lot of times when things don't go as planned, we have to basically learn quickly, fail forward and learn quickly. So I'm looking for the person to, first of all, own that, yeah, something didn't go right. And here's what I did that contributed to it not going right, and here's what I did to also get it back on track. So to me, that particular question touches upon each of our values with the acronym of ICARE.
Well, that is a wonderful example. Thank you. So to prepare for the future, what are the critical capabilities and roles that organizations will need in your view?
In my view, and I'll just say what we're focused on at Boys and Girls Clubs of America, it's about digital fluency, digital transformation, digital, and add whatever word you want to in the blank. But it's also about adaptability. We're in some very uncertain times right now, and we have some very bold goals. Today, we serve just under 4 million young people, and we have the goals to raise that to 6 million. And with us all having a new normal right now, we need talent who can build their muscles around resilience, build their muscles around adaptability. It is very easy to become change fatigue. And lots of times I get the questions, when will things stop changing? Newsflash, they won't. They won't ever stop
They're going
changing.
to change faster.
Yes. So how do you build your muscle around resilience? How do you own your own well-being, right? That is something you have to own for yourself. So we're very focused on balance, but we're also focused on digital. And one of the things we're doing, probably Q1, our CIO is working on the AI strategy, but what we also realize is with the current technologies, and we have a lot of them, people don't even know how to optimize what we currently have. So we're going to be very focused on basically making sure with the basics that people know how to optimize the current technologies that are already there. They just don't, they're either sometimes not wanting to raise their hand and say they don't know how to do this in Excel. I'm talking about some basic things. So we're going to do some table stakes training just on the existing technology, but we're going to really be leaning into how can AI absolutely help us move faster and help us be more effective.
Yeah. And just for context, so 4 million boys and girls, how many volunteers, how many staff members support those 4 million boys and girls?
Yeah, and my marketing person would correct me and say under 4 million, just under
Just under 4 million.
Just under 4 million. At the national office, we have just under 600 employees. We also have, for the nearly 4 million young people, they roll up to about 5,500 club sites. Those club sites also roll up to about 800 organizations, and we also have just over 200 military sites as well. Volunteer-wise, and adding in all the actual employed full-time and part-time staff, there's around 75,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. It's amazing.
We call it the movement because it requires a lot of staff, a lot of volunteers, and the youth also making it all work.
Yeah. So would you say you're currently buying, building, or borrowing when it comes to talent?
I would say in the digital space, we are probably buying because it's moving so fast, and we're trying to find the right partners to help with that so that we can continue to focus on the mission. But the digital transformation space is a space where we do feel we're going to probably have to buy to make sure we have the best of the best, because as soon as we land it, it's going to evolve and change. I would say when it comes to some of the internal capabilities, like just being a good human-centered leader, we're going to be doing a lot of building around that type of capability. But digital transformation, when we think about revenue channels, those are things we may also buy or borrow to think about how can we get and open up more channels so that we can serve more youth.
And last question, Felicia, what is one piece of advice that has shaped your work or personal life?
I would say If you don't mind, two things. One of my leadership principles has always been, and I got this from one of my leaders at Coca-Cola, assume positive intent. And that has been a leadership principle that I have put in place with many teams that I've led over the years. But I also believe in leading with the human at the center. Don't forget the other person on the side of any conversation is a human being. So I try to lead always, always with grace and in a way that preserves someone's dignity. And I believe when you do that, people will run through walls to get to the results that you are asking them to deliver.
Yes. Second time the word dignity comes up today. It came up on stage, and it is an important word. Thank you.
Yes.
And that's where we'll end it for this episode of People and Strategy. A huge thanks to Felicia for your valuable insights.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. You could follow the People and Strategy podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also, podcast reviews have a real impact on podcast visibility. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a review to help others find the show. Finally, you could find all our episodes on our website at shrm.org/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for our weekly newsletter. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
In golf, every shot is different. In business, challenges change too. Just as Tiger Woods resets and adapts, Insperity helps you adjust and keep moving forward. Insperity, how you HR matters. Learn more at insperity.com/tiger.
SHRM.